So one of the prerequisites for our program is that people have to be healthy and independent. And often people have questions, well, what does it mean to be healthy and independent? One thing that I've found is that almost everyone who applies for our program feels like they're healthy and independent. Right. So we want to try to help people understand, what do we mean by healthy and independent? One of the things that I also tell people is that we turn down 30 to 35% of people who apply for the program. It's not an automatic, you apply and you pay and you make it. You have to be eligible. And eligibility depends on two things, the healthy and the independent. Can you describe what the independent part means?
The independent part is, are they able to do every of the activity of daily living? Activities of daily living are bathing, dressing, grooming, transferring, toileting. It's all that. But it goes much deeper than just those basics. Do you walk with a walker? Well, then more likely you're not stable. You're needing some support. And that, as you age, when you start out walking with a walker, it's going to progress as you get older. So it's your strength is involved. Do you have a lot of falls? We do some assessments. If a person has had a number of falls, we can do assessments to see if they can get up from a chair without using their arms to push themselves up, things like that. So it's very involved.
Yeah, I know one of the things that causes a downturn in health the most quickly is a fall.
Yes.
So we do a fall risk assessment. We look at the gait of people as they walk, whether or not if you're using a cane in your home or when you're out, or a walker or some other assisted device. Even though you're independent, that's going to be something the admissions committee has to weigh in on, because
exactly.
all of this fits together. What we're looking for is a combined level of risk. Each person who joins the program is provided with $1 million of coverage. So that's a lot of responsibility for our admissions committee to say, how much coverage are you going to need, how soon? If you have a fall the day after you join, we're covering you up for $1 million. Right. But if we look at the whole situation and think this person is likely to fall and have an injury, much more likely than most people, then we're going to have to weigh that into the whole conversation. So the independence part, that's a big part, but also it's not just the activities of daily living. That's a big part, and that's what we help with later. But it's also, are you cleaning your own house?
Yes.
Are you able to take care of your meals? Are you able to take care of your own transportation? All of those kind of things, your own finances, because those aren't things that we just do automatically. You have to have a need in one of those activities of daily living
right.
in order for us to take care of that.
Also, are you exercising? Are you socially engaged? Do you have a good connection with people in the community? Those things are important. Do you drink a lot of alcohol? There's just so many factors that go into making a person be independent and healthy. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think the alcohol, tobacco use,
yes.
The house. Do you have a lot of clutter in your house? That's a big deal for your safety, for your fall risk, and for us to be able to bring help into you. Will they have a place to sit? Will they have a place to be able to meet with you and take care of you? Is it an environment that's going to help your quality of life? A lot of what our program does is not just in caring for people, but it's about keeping people well.
Yes.
The quality of life throughout the time. Most of our people never want to use services. They know that they will probably need them, so they join the program, but it's more about staying well as long as possible and having that insurance in case they can't. So.
And one of the things we do once a person becomes a member is we have an occupational therapist who goes out and does a home safety assessment. And they measure doorways. They talk about pulling up throw rugs. They talk about how many stairs there are in and out of the house, how big is the bathroom, and how accessible is the shower. Then they give them tips on making changes to make it even safer to stay at home. Because most people can stay in their home. They just might need to make minor changes to do that.
So do people have to make those changes in order to join the program?
No, they don't have to make those changes. Although, for safety reasons they should. But it's their choice.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about what makes someone independent, a little bit about healthy. What other kinds of health things are we looking for?
We're looking for a cognitive assessment. We do a cognitive assessment where a person needs to be able to remember things that during the exam. It's very important because if a person has a cognitive decline now, it's going to probably get worse, and that's not a risk that we in this program are able to take.
Right, and that's a very objective part of our score, of our assessment. That's easier than a lot of the other things where we're looking at lots of different diagnoses or different conditions. With that, if there's a very objective score that you have to have on the cognitive assessment, or we can't accept you into the program. There's a score for the functional assessment,
Yes.
or we can't accept you into the program. The same with the fall risk.
Yes.
So those are very objective measures that we use. We also look at medical records. In reviewing that 5 years of medical records, what kind of things would raise a red flag for the committee to look at?
So, of course, heart disease and diabetes, cancer is always a concern. Whether the person's receiving the treatment and accepting the treatment that the doctor has prescribed is important too. Because if you're receiving treatment for your high blood pressure, that makes you a lesser risk. But if you're not taking the high blood pressure medicine, then you're going to be a higher risk. So there's a lot of factors that I've learned over the years that go into it that make the medical professional who does the assessments, our medical advisor, look at in more detail. So it's a very thorough exam of all the different things you're doing in your life.
Right. So we have a lot of members who have diabetes
Sure.
or who have some kidney problems or have heart issues. But it's when there's a combination of a lot of those, or a person isn't compliant, or they
Right.
haven't tried to change their lifestyle. If you know you're a stroke risk, but you're not taking your blood pressure medicine or exercising or eating healthy, then to us that's a red flag that the likelihood of things digressing instead of getting better is higher. And so
Exactly.
that's something that we have to take into account as the admissions committee. Now, one thing you mentioned, we do a cognitive assessment, but sometimes we don't even get to that point in the determining eligibility because we see in the medical records that there's memory loss or other difficulties with memory or Alzheimer's or some kind of dementia. Any kind of neurological diagnosis like that is an automatic ineligible to be a traditional member of the program.
Yes.